You want to know that my mom calls me every week?
I just think that's sweet that she does it. That's all. Because I'm literally not one of those people that reaches out to plethora of my friends and call, and I certainly don't call a family member on a Sunday night. I don't do that. I'm not that guy. So
I moved like away. So
you think that's why? Well, even when I was in Georgia, I didn't do it.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, I just didn't do it.
I called you after 2 years. I'm like, hey, buddy, remember me?
I'm like, who? No.
No,
just in case
actually,
you guys are wondering.
When welcome. I did call you, you went, dude, I moved back like a year ago. And I went, what?
Oh, that's right. I do remember that now.
That did piss me off.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I pissed off a lot of people and not knowing that. But if I look back at it now, I'm like, oh, yeah, you know what? They have a right to be pissed off. I get it. I don't know why I'm maturing so much in my 40s. I didn't mature enough in my 30s. But anyway,
it happens.
Welcome to our podcast. That's the Greg. I'm Johnny. This is our podcast. And while I tell you what's on the agenda today, you guys can like and subscribe. That really helps the algorithm and really gets us working on getting up in the podcast like lines or the podcast rankings. So on the agenda today we're gonna talk a little bit about Morbius. Greg, you saw it, right? You saw Morbius?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Cool. He's going to give us a review. We're going to talk a little Moon Knight, and then we're going to talk about a slap that happened last week while we were recording, and we didn't know about it until we were done recording.
Yeah.
So we'll go a little bit into that. So, Greg, appease the internet gods for us, please.
Yes, we are partnered with Audible, where you can get hundreds of thousands of audiobooks, podcasts, pretty much anything that's going to go into your ear hole. So it's great. I mean, I use it weekly. I mean, that's where I get the bulk of my podcast from. I'm usually digesting a couple books, usually something fiction, something nonfiction. Just they've got any genre that you want to look for. It's great for when you're on commutes. If you got one of those jobs where you can just kind of do your job and you don't have to have conversations, or it's just that kind of thing where you're like, it's mindless day. It's great for that kind of stuff. But you can get 30 days on us if you go to audibletrial.com/JATG, stands for Johnny and the Greg. And you sign up. Every book that you purchase is yours to keep. So it's not like after the 30 days, if you go, I'm not really digging it, but I bought a couple of books, they're still yours. You can listen to them at any time. So check that out. 30 days on us at audibletrial.com/JATG.
All right. Greg, you saw a movie that I guess you've been waiting for a very long time. You're a Morbius fan more than I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very interested to hear how you see it. Can I ask a question before you give us your review on it? Is this one of those movies how I felt like Indiana Jones, where I walked in there, God, it has to be good. It has to be good. It has to be good. Is that how you were walking into this?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, let us have it, Greg.
Okay, so I went and saw it this afternoon.
Okay.
And the review, I didn't read the reviews, but if you're on the internet, if you're a movie guy like me, you get just in the algorithm, movie reviews are going to show up.
Right.
And what I got a lot of was just the headlines of Jared Leto's worst film.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He was the Joker in the DC film's worst DC film and worst Marvel film. And so I saw a lot of that, really kind of trashing the film for review wise. And so I'm like, okay. But I also while I was excited for the film, I didn't have really high expectations for the film.
Okay.
Because here's the little secret is that it's not really a Marvel film.
Correct.
It is a Marvel character that exists in the Sony universe.
Yeah.
And so Marvel Studios didn't have a hand in this. So you can't go into this movie with the same level of expectation that you do with even the Spider-Man films, which are Marvel films in partnership with Sony, or Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, or any of the Avengers films. You just don't go into it with the same level of expectation of quality.
Right.
And so I went in with my bar set pretty low. I gotta be honest. It was set pretty low. And I went in and watched the film, and I came out going, it wasn't bad. It was,
Okay.
is it a great film? No. Did I like it better than Venom? Yes. Did I like it better than Black Widow? Yes.
Really?
So, yep. And you can give me shit for that, but you know
I
what?
will. I'm going to give you shit for it. Every time we drink, I'm going to give you shit for it.
the it's not a perfect film, but there are very few that are. And for me, it is a decent origin story for for Morbius as a character. I liked him. I thought Jared Leto did a good job. Playing both like the sickly invalid in the first part of the film,
Yeah.
and then when he's struggling with his hunger.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it. I thought it was good. And he's, Morbius is a brilliant scientist, and he brings that to the table. Yeah, I just really liked a lot about Matt Smith in the film is amazing. And
he's a good actor, though.
He is a good actor.
They're both. I'm sorry, they're both very good actors. So
everybody, the only performance in the film that I'd say that could have been anybody was Tyrese. Like his character in the film, he plays an agent. Agent, is it Stowe? I think that's just so that's how forgettable of a character he is that I can't even really remember his name. I think it was Shroud, Agent Shroud. Okay. And I think they had plans for him to do some different stuff. Yeah. And I think it got cut. I think because I seem to remember a preview that showed him with like a prosthetic super hand or a super arm.
Well, yeah.
And there is a scene in the film where you see it like, here it is on like a lab table, and he never gets it. And you're like, okay, well, that obviously got lost somewhere in an edit. Okay. Because this thing has had 2 years from its original release date to re-edit and things like that. So, it's a PG-13 vampire film, so you got to know that going in. I took my daughter with me, and she even came out saying it was a little darker than I expected. I mean, it's a vampire film. People are being, exsanguinated in the film.
Exsanguinated.
That means they are being drained of their blood.
Really? Where'd you pull that word from?
Well, it's in the movie. Two, two, you watch enough vampire films, they use it.
Do they really? I've never heard.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I never paid attention.
So it again, I liked it. The post-credit scenes where they're Sony's trying to build their bigger universe around
the Sinister Six, right?
Could be. I mean, it seems that way.
It's the only way I can figure out.
And they're trying to do like, hey, here's the problem, and I think it's Spider-Man. And the whole. If you paid attention to any of the Spider-Man villains, especially in the Sony universe, and especially if you paid attention to the comics, a lot of Spider-Man's villains are like animal based, or they've done something that has replaced a part of their DNA with an animal blank. Yeah. And
except Vulture,
who's mechanical, but it's that same kind of feeling where Morbius replaces a chunk of his DNA to cure himself of this super rare disease, and in the process has become a vampire. A science-based vampire.
Very rarely does Spider-Man take on anybody that didn't get created science-wise.
And like we talked about the Puma last week. There's just his animal-based villains. But overall, that's kind of, but that's how Spider-Man was created too. His DNA was replaced with, a super spider DNA, and that's how he got his powers. So I think that might play into it. And as far as Sony's gonna, rock their Spider-Man universe, it does show a little bit of a multiverse rip, and so that kind of plays into it. But I think that's going to be it. I don't think we're going to see much of the Marvel universe Spider-Man in the Sony,
which is good.
I don't know.
I don't think
that's
Tom
fine.
Holland. Yeah, I think we should keep Tom in there. If you want to throw in Andrew Garfield or something, that's cool.
I would be totally.
Or give us Miles Morales. Okay,
I think that's great too. I've heard about a Spider Gwen being the the focus. Whatever. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, if you're looking for a decent film, I thought it was okay. I mean,
Really?
I
Okay.
really did. Yeah.
Haven't seen it yet, so I can't give you any type of shit or anything of that nature because I haven't seen it, so I have no idea. But I do know that those two actors, Matt Smith and Jared Leto, those are great
Yep.
actors.
They by far get the most screen time in the
Okay.
film. So
Good.
it's really, and they start off as friends, they become enemies.
Yeah.
I liked it.
All right.
So the downside, I would say this, it does suffer from what I call the Transformers effect, which is they do these special effects. They're complete CGI, but
You
like
get lost in it.
but you get lost in it. There's like buildings crumbling. There's this weird kind of smoky effect that's happening. I don't think they're turning into smoke, but that's just how they wanted to depict speed and
How they're
things like
almost lighter because they're more mist.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And you're watching all that happen, and then all of a sudden it'll be like a slow-mo and you see them punching one another or something's happening, and then it speeds up again.
Yeah.
And you get a little lost in that. It was a cool effect, but I wish I would have seen more like fighting.
Right. So what you're saying is it's just like this this just chaos of smoke, and all of a sudden they'll slow it down at 1 second.
Yeah, it's literally
Yeah.
you see fangs and
so
and
they give you a little peek on what's going on in this violent storm right now.
Yep, that's really what it is.
Yeah, that sucks when they do that, but whatever, I get it.
It is
okay, so for those of you that want to we're waiting for Greg's review, like I know you guys are. He what's your grading scale?
You know what? I don't think we've ever established one for this show.
Okay. You like mine?
I would give it a B minus.
B minus. Okay.
For me.
Wow, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if you guys want to run out and go see Morbius, it sounds like Greg says it's a good time as long as you go in there knowing what you're going to see.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't go in there expecting like the best Marvel movie ever, because it's not.
Yeah. And when he says Marvel movie, he's not talking about MCU. He's actually just talking about the character is from Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Another Marvel property came out this last Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
What did you think of this?
We're talking about Moon Knight.
Yes,
for those
Moon
of you
Knight.
that didn't get that. I really liked it.
Too.
It was much creepier than I thought they were going to do.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this when we on the show when we've talked about horror films in the past. I'm okay with most horror. I mean, I don't I don't do gore. We're not, and that's not what Marvel did either.
Right. No.
But the way to creep me out in a lot of movies is to have the mirror or our person's reflection do something different than the actual person.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I think that could be terrifying because and that's just me. I mean, you walk by enough mirrors and then at some point you stare at it and you're like, if they were to move when I'm not moving, I would be absolutely terrified.
Yes.
And that happens a couple times to our main character.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's creepy. So creepy.
It felt to me like this was different. This was so different than any other show we saw. Mm-hmm. I think that when I'm talking about show, I'm talking about what Disney Plus has put out in their Marvel characters so far. This felt so different. And I was so nervous about this because I thought, how are they going to not? And look, we don't know if they stuck the landing. They stuck the landing in the first one for sure, in the first episode for sure. But I have no idea what's going to carry on. But Oscar Isaacs, wow.
Yeah.
Great job acting. Same with Ethan Hawke. Even the small little part he was in creeped me out.
Oh, what about that beginning? Like the first scene we see, and I'm just going to spoil it for those of you who haven't seen it yet, because it's literally the first scene. So he breaks up a bunch of glass.
Yeah.
And he pours it into his sandals. And then he puts the sandals on. You're like, why?
Yeah.
Why? And you just like, you're watching it and it's just cringy. And again, you don't see any blood. You don't see anything like that. It's still a Disney Plus show. But you're still like, and now he's walking. I can hear the crunching. He's walking.
They did that in one of the Dan Brown movies where the bad guy had a thing on his leg that he kept adjusting to rip into his skin because there's something creepy about someone that believes so much in their faith that they believe they need to atone for their sins painfully with each walk. There's something really creepy about that character.
Do you think that's what's happening with Ethan Hawke's character?
That's what I
pulled to
atone.
Okay,
that's what I pulled from it.
That's
Like,
what was happening. You're talking about Da Vinci Code, the albino in the Da Vinci Code. And that's exactly what he was doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
It
there's
was.
just something creepy about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, Ethan Hawke's here, totally creepy. The voice of Khonshu, who is the Egyptian god of the Moon Knight, was voiced by F. Murray Abraham.
Yes. Let people know who he starred in. Like, people aren't going to remember that.
Oh,
name.
well, for me, he was in The Mummy, like the first Mummy film. He was in a Star Trek film. Am I confusing you?
No, I can't remember. I can't remember where he was in the.
You mustn't read from the book.
Oh, it's that guy.
Yep, that was him.
Okay. Is it the same guy that's the bad guy from Mozart?
Yeah. That's exactly who that. Yep.
Okay.
It's all dependent. I'm trying to think of what generation people would know F. Murray Abraham from. He's been
what I think
much stuff.
While you're looking for that, or while you're looking for other things, what I thought Oscar Isaac did well was he suffers from dissociative identity disorder. So it's called DIDS.
Yeah, what we used to call multiple personality disorder.
Right. That idea of how terrifying that would be. And it all comes down to one scene.
Mm-hmm.
When he's sitting and he realized he's missed 2 days.
Right.
Like, and he had a date set up. He missed 2 days. And you saw at the same time, he's trying to talk to the waiter and he's having this nervous breakdown in his head of, oh my God, I thought it was okay. I've missed 2 whole days.
Yeah.
That sheer terror. Just imagine anybody out there that's listening to us right now. You're driving to work or all of a sudden you just come to and you got a gun in your hand and there's a dead body on the ground and you don't know how you did that. Or just heaven forbid, you wake up and you realize you've missed the last 3 days.
Yeah.
Or that one time where he's like, he has to readjust his jaw because
this jaw was out of joint.
Yes. Oh my God. I was like, wow, this is so fantastic. I thought I got giddy watching it.
He knows he has this problem.
Because I didn't get the idea he knew he had a problem. I think he had a problem that he thought he just sleepwalked.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't, because he literally, the sand around the bed. Things like that.
I think he thinks, oh my gosh, I sleepwalk. And I don't know. I don't think he knows. I think he's starting to figure out, oh, I have another personality.
Oh, that's clear by the end of it.
Yeah. But I thought it was fantastic. Can't wait to watch it again.
Yep. And it's only 6 episodes. So, hopefully, and I think Marvel has learned some lessons in their TV making, and that it's like, if we got 6 episodes, we got to keep them. We got to spread the action out. We can't do 4 episodes of exposition and then 2 episodes of nothing but action.
Right. I would say so far, this is the best pilot episode.
Okay.
From all of them.
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
Yeah, I could probably go along with that.
I was just thirsty for more after it. I was like, oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Definitely wanted more at the end.
Yeah. But so people that haven't watched Moon Knight yet, get on that. It is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. My daughter is like, can we watch Moon Knight? We shut it off right before the elevator scene where Khonshu was coming to him. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I know what's coming. I'm going to shut this off. And she's been dying to watch the rest. I'm like, no, we can't. Can't let you watch that yet.
Not for you.
Not yet, honey. Not yet. So, but anyway, get on that, please.
Recommend.
So a funny thing happened after we recorded last week.
A funny thing happened during our recording last week.
You're right. So let me just paint this for you, just where Greg and I were coming from. Greg and I we tend to, most of the time we'll talk for another hour actually after the podcast, just catching up on life. And I think all of a sudden, Greg goes, I think Will Smith just slapped Chris Rock. And we went, and I'm both at the same time, we're like, wait, what? So we're scrambling on our phones or on the internets, and we find it.
You were dumbfounded. You're like,
yeah, I was absolutely shocked. I was like, wait, oh, this isn't part of the act. Oh, no, he meant it. He's mad. Oh, wait a minute. This is serious stuff.
Yeah. And you thought maybe we should go live again.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad we didn't.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Well, we'll get into that.
Okay.
But so we should talk about like how did this week shake out? Because this was literally all anything anybody would talk about.
I knew
this
Monday
week.
this was all. I mean, it
Yeah,
was
it
on
was gonna
ESPN.
blow up.
It was on
Yeah.
ESPN radio in the morning. I thought,
Mm-hmm.
and not there's this one show that I call a stupid show, but for some reason I tune in every now and then. It's Skip and Shannon Sharp, Skip Bayless
Yeah.
and Shannon Sharp.
Yeah.
They do this debate show, and it's dumb because I feel like they're not really debating because they actually have a side to stand on. I feel like they've painted themselves into a corner. But anyway, this isn't about that. Anyway, it was a debate topic on that show.
Yeah.
And I thought, no way. They haven't debated Ukraine. They haven't debated anything else except Will Smith slapping. And I thought, son of a bitch, this reached everywhere.
So, okay, so many things.
Yes, there's a lot.
So we need to first. I want to get it very clear what, like from last Sunday to now, like what has transpired. So the smack happened.
So let's just do the smack. Why was it? What happened?
No. I want to cover this. I want to go front to back, and then we'll start our commentary because I want to lay out kind of a what do we really know? Like what are we aware of?
Okay.
Because there's a lot of stuff popping off.
Okay.
So the smack happens.
Mm-hmm.
And then the show goes on, and Will goes on to win Best Actor award, has a tearful acceptance.
Almost immediately, right?
Yeah, it was like 5 minutes later.
Yeah. Okay.
So, a lot of rumors immediately of like they tried to kick him out, and he said no. The Academy has come out and said, we asked him, do you want to leave? And he said no. So it's not like they tried to remove him.
Okay.
Will Smith immediately had conversations during the break with Denzel Washington, Tyler Perry, and
Bradley Cooper.
Yeah. And so they do something. I want to say Puff Daddy, but that's not even what he goes by anymore. Sean Combs did like a, hey man, we're going to work this out later, like family, let's move on.
Right.
Both of them go to after parties and have a great time. And then, the media blitz the next day of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing I saw was a reported apology by Chris Rock, where here's him apologizing. Turns out it was not from him at all. It was just somebody on the internet said, well, here's Chris Rock's apology. And the internet ate it up and said, yes, he's apologized. And like, he came out later and said, I didn't actually write that. I don't know where that came from.
Okay.
So I thought that was it. And that was my first bit of like, there's going to be a lot of information flying around here that people are going to assume is true. And maybe I should settle down a little bit.
Before you go off.
Before I form opinions of what happened. I did post on our social media on Monday a reaction video that I have since removed because I don't agree with it anymore. So so this was a bit of self-discovery for me this week as well.
Cool.
So back to the story is Chris Rock's apology did not come from him. Will Smith does issue an apology. A statement apologizing to the Academy, apologizing to Chris Rock, apologizing to his fellow nominees. Like, I took away from the Oscars. It's not what it's about, blah, blah, blah. You can go read that online.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Rock has a comedy show like a couple days later where his ticket prices went from like, at most, it was like $300 a ticket for like the best ticket in the house, up to like $1,400.
Yes, it was crazy. Yeah.
And he like overnight, his ticket prices just shot through the roof, and he's got a sold out show, standing ovation for Chris Rock when he comes on stage.
Right.
And he opens with, I know you all want to hear about this. I wrote an entire show before that happened. And that's what I'm going to do tonight is the show that I wrote.
Of course.
He's like, I will have a reaction to this. It's going to be serious, but it's going to be funny. And we'll talk about that later. Does his thing. People are talking about and this is like on Thursday or something, should Will Smith be kicked out of the Academy? Should he lose his Oscar? Should they take it back? What should be his recompense for this? Nobody's pressing charges against Will Smith. So the police are like, if Chris Rock isn't going to press charges, we can't do anything.
Right.
So there's no like criminal activity going on. The Academy does open like an official investigation to see like what motivations, everything else behind there. Meanwhile, you've got people coming out on the side of Will Smith going into his recently published autobiography saying, this is a broken man. Like, this is a guy that needed therapy beforehand. So this is why he went off. You've got relationship experts looking at Will and Jada saying they're not good. They are a car wreck. And this was just a manifestation of her being like, you need to take care of this if you love me. And him responding like she wanted him to. And then you've got people looking at Chris Rock saying he had an entire multi-season sitcom called Everybody Hates Chris, where he was just unpacking the bullying that he had to endure growing up. And so you got people on Chris Rock's side. It was just like, hey, all these broken people, and then thing just imploded.
Yep.
To Friday, Will Smith has withdrawn his membership from the Academy. He has resigned from the Academy, which getting into the Academy is tough enough. You need to be sponsored by 2 existing members, and you are voted on to get in. It's like a weird frat house for movie stars, right? Or people in the film.
It's like a country club.
It's very much like that.
Yeah.
And it's got about 10,000 members. So it's not like it's a totally small club. Like people who have film projects and you get sponsored, you can get into the Academy. But to withdraw yourself from it is like a whole nother thing, because I guess it's going to be like next to impossible if he ever tries to get back in, if that's even a consideration. Oh, so first off, to the people that are saying he should have his Oscar taken away, like, they didn't take away Weinstein's Oscars. They expelled him from the Academy, but they didn't take away his Oscars. So we're not talking about sexual assault of multiple women over multiple years and manipulation of power and things like that. We're talking about a separate incident. So I don't think they're going to take away his Oscar. I do think that could be the only one he's ever going to get. But with all that, what are your feelings and opinions on it?
Okay. A little background.
Okay.
When you first met me, I could pretty much say I hero worshipped Will Smith at that time.
That is the truth.
Yeah. And I've always been a fan of his to the point of I'm the only guy in the Midwest that actually likes his music. It upsets my wife terribly when I play it. I like to play it. It's fun for me. So let's just put that there.
Yep. You're a fan.
This shocked me to a point of it shocked me to a point of I couldn't believe it. And I thought, why this? No, you shouldn't have done that. No, there's a million other ways to have handled that. And you could tell, I mean, if you want to actually dissect it, I think you are very right about Jada and Will, and they are not good. In fact, I remember the embarrassment that man must have felt when Jada did her the red table discussion. Yeah. Did you
I had an entangled. That? No, I can't bring myself to watch it.
Okay,
I really can't.
I watched it. I rewatched it during this week. And I was like, oh my God. Like, she comes across in that interview like, Will, I wanted to feel good. Like, what's the problem?
Yeah.
I was like, are you kidding?
I had an entanglement with my son's friend.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Son's friend. She basically seduced the dude.
Yeah. She did a whole graduate thing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And she's just basically saying like, Will, like, and Will even, it was, and I'm not going to go through the verbatim, but what I got out of that whole thing was Jada's running the show.
Yeah.
Jada's, and she's running like, I cheated on you. I don't have to apologize for it because I was doing what I felt, what I needed to do at that time.
Yeah.
And so she didn't apologize for it. She didn't say it was a mistake. She almost doubled down on, I had every right to do this and I should have done this.
Yeah.
But
I'm back now, so it's okay.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah. So look, I'm not a marriage counselor. I'm a few credits shy. So I'm not going to go into that. But my thought was, number one, they shouldn't take away the Oscar because you're absolutely right. They're not going to take away Weinstein's. And not only that, where do you draw the line then? Where do you draw the line at taking away Oscars? Are you going to take away Ben Affleck's because he's notorious for being an alcoholic and womanizing? Are you going to do that?
Nope.
No, you're not. So, and I'm sure if you look down the line of Hollywood, there are a lot of dirty people and a lot of dirty secrets that have Oscars.
Yeah.
You can't start
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you can't start doing that. So that's not being taken away. If I'm the Academy, how I feel about it, bottom line, I feel what Will Smith did was wrong. I don't care if she had alopecia or I don't care. That's not a reason to get up on stage at the Oscars in front of millions of people and slap a man that is twice your size.
Yeah, we did talk about that too. Like you and I went back and forth, and so did the rest of the world.
Yeah.
But like if it was Dwayne The Rock Johnson instead of Chris Rock, do you think Will Smith would have got up there and smacked him? And absolutely not. I do
absolutely
not think for 1 minute.
Absolutely not. I don't think for 1 minute. I don't think for 1 minute. So that to me looked a little cowardice.
Mm-hmm.
I lost a lot of healthy respect for that. Now, I've taken a poll from people that I talked to, and they were telling me that actually it's weird. The majority of the women I talked to were very much on the side of they're glad he stood up for his woman.
Right.
They don't agree with the way he did it.
Yes.
I can get behind that.
Yeah.
I can get behind that. Look, man, have you ever seen me in a fight? Have you ever seen me physically try to, I don't know, do anything? I'm very far away from that at all. So I don't agree with the way he handled that at all. In fact, I thought it looked very classless. I was so shocked because I didn't think Will Smith would do that. And he had to be in such a weird headspace at that moment in time. And I feel like you knew for a fact he knew he fucked up, because when he went back and sat down, he was quivering when he was saying, keep my wife's name out. He was like he was quivering. Like you can tell his emotions were taking over and he couldn't speak.
Yep.
Yeah. Cause he knew I fucked up. But now I got to stand behind of what I just did. And it's like this inner turmoil that was probably happening to him. But yeah, going back to what you said, I feel the Academy probably should suspend him. I think he knows that's coming. So he's being proactive. It's like the people that get busted in college football and they're like, well, we're going to, discipline ourselves. NCAA, you don't have to discipline us. We're going to do it ourselves. I think they should not lifetime banned, because I'm not going to judge one man off of one mistake. Okay. But I would say you're suspended until further notice. And maybe he comes back when he's 80.
Show some evidence of some growth, or,
Yeah.
take a class or something.
I think Chris Rock came across, I don't want to say heroic. He came across with class.
He did. He absolutely did. You can tell during that altercation, at one point, he was going to say something.
Yep.
And he stopped himself.
He pulled himself back.
Yep, he did. And I thought that was incredible for him to be able to do that, because I don't know if I could have.
Now, to Chris Rock's benefit, everybody else has been talking about, hey, you remember that one podcast where he talks about being bullied and being beaten every day in school?
Right.
He hasn't come out and said anything like that. Nope. I don't think. It's everybody else that's dragging up stuff. There's one of some European tour that Will was on where somebody kissed him and pulled him close, and then he backed him off. He backed him off and smacked him in the face.
Yeah. He's like, he kissed me on my mouth. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I look, I don't know how many guys would react well to that. Like, I know I would, I'd like, what are you doing kissing me?
Yeah.
I'd be like that too. So I'm not going to give him that.
Not the extra jab that he threw on there.
Yeah. I wouldn't have done that, but there'd be a slight push. Like, I'd probably be a violent push to push the person off me, but I don't think I'd go after him anymore. But anyway, that's not the point of this. So yes, at the end of the day, I think Will Smith, I thought he was in the wrong, because he could have handled it better.
Right.
Way better. I would have been okay if he just would have sat there and never got up on stage. If he would have sat there and yelled, keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth. I'm serious, Chris. Stop it.
Yeah.
I would have been like, wow, that sucks, but okay. But I want to go to Chris's joke. that is such a mild joke. The thing that he said before about Jada Pinkett in 2016 was worse than what he said.
Well, and I think part of her reaction was she was feeling like she is sniped at, specifically by Rock, specifically at the Oscars.
Yes.
And I mean, two jokes. I mean, I don't know. You go to these things, celebrities go to these things.
Yes.
And one, it is a bunch of glad handing themselves because it is their private club giving themselves private awards.
Yeah.
Which we get. And we tune in just to watch the glitz, the glam, to see what's going to happen.
Yeah. How classy are you going to accept this award?
Yeah. What I don't like is what the Oscars have become. You know, I remember watching the Oscars, like, and I'm going like back into high school, college, where I was doing, you know, Oscar parties with friends, and we all had our own ballots and we were going to see who was going to win. It was more of a celebration of film. It was, look at these accomplishments. I mean, it wasn't just like the art house films that were getting nominated yet. There were some other like critically acclaimed films. And it was a celebration of movies put on by the people that make them. And then it just started to degenerate. This is the first Oscars I've actually watched in probably 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
Because my family wanted to watch them.
Okay.
So other than we were on, like my family was watching the Oscars. And it seems like I stopped watching because it became almost like a giant roast of each other and a giant roast of the films that they made. And I was insulted mostly, I mean, throughout the whole thing, like when they came out for the award for Best Animated Feature. And we kind of talked about this last week because it was one of the awards I had saw. They were like taking shots at the own genre that they were. It was 3 actresses, and I don't think they wrote these jokes. I think someone wrote them for them.
Okay.
They're taking shots at the animated category as being just for kids, and we have to endure these kind of kids movies to get to the more serious fare. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? You're literally shooting yourself in the foot for the genre that's making the 3 of you up on that stage popular and giving you jobs because they were in the live action versions of Disney animated features.
Not only that, but they've probably done some voiceover work.
Probably. Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
But you're shitting on an entire category of people that work really hard to make those films.
Yeah.
And so like that was just the example of,
well, I think to you that's a personal thing. You're very passionate about animation. You are. Well, you get a little passionate
film in
about
general, but I mean that is a good representation of what the Oscars have become. Is just like, hey, let's get everybody dressed up and get together, and then we're going to roast each other for the next 6 hours.
Really?
And it really seems that way. Like every,
I don't know if it's
becomes
ever changed, Greg. I feel we have. I feel when we were young, we fell in love with the movies, and we're still in love with movies. But I think somewhere along the line, we've grown up and we're looking through things with adult eyes, where we're remembering how we looked through things when we were kids.
I don't know. I think it was when the Oscars started to get hosts, and these hosts became stand-up comedians that want to just crack jokes, and they're going to do it about the subjects that are in the room.
So are you kind of hinting that you feel like this was coming soon? This was.
I think it was, if maybe not the slap, but the constant like shit show that the Oscars has been. And yes, they had a high viewership this year, but even with the 3 female hosts, 3 of them were comedians, and they were just taking pot shots. Like all their monologues were pot shots at other people. Kirsten Dunst, who has been nominated for Oscars numerous times, has made some very art house and serious films, along with some financial successes.
And all they brought up was Twilight.
And no, Kristen Stewart, or not, that's Kristen Stewart. Oh Jesus, you got me all confused now.
Sorry.
From Kirsten Dunst. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Kirsten Dunst, who has done all these things, and like the joke was Amy Schumer was sitting in her seat, and this girl, she's like, "Oh, are you like a seat filler?" Like they treat Kirsten Dunst, who's nominated
Mhm.
like she's this forgotten nobody. Oh, you're here. Who are you again? And
Aren't you kind of taking the joke a little too hard there, Greg?
no, if you're in that position, like you have done all these accolades, and all of a sudden you're treated at this thing like you're a nobody.
Well, no.
Yes,
One person treated her that way, and
but
it was a stand-up comedian doing a joke. I doubt they didn't
that's
say, "Who are
part.
you? You don't sit
That's
here." Just
no,
for Kristen
but that
Dunst, who are you?
bit is rehearsed. That bit is
Oh yeah,
like,
but that's their job.
but Chris Rock's wasn't rehearsed. See, and that's what I'm saying. It's like the whole idea of bringing these comedians in to
Yeah.
just take shots of people is part of the problem.
I think you're being a little sensitive about it.
I don't think so.
I really do.
I think what they need to do is just make the whole
these
I'm
people.
talking. The whole thing needs to be a celebration of film, and
Oh
you
my
get
God.
rid of the hosts. You have the nominees pitch their other nominees' film. Like that's, hey, check out this movie. You show clips and then you give awards. No more monologues, no more in between jokes, none of that. You make it about a celebration of film and not some kind of weird stand-up roast night.
Okay. Greg, they get their ass kissed 365 days a year.
I'm not talking about kissing their ass.
Yes, you are, because you're talking about
No.
hurting the feelings of these people that put their hard work into these movies. You're saying take away all the fun of this and let's have a serious celebration of movies.
Why does the fun have to be at other people's expense?
No.
though?
You're talking about that, like you were offended that they were ripping on Kristen Dunst.
Because I think it was unneeded.
You don't think she gets her ass kissed all day? The fact
No,
that Will
I don't.
Smith got
Not
up,
her anyway.
the fact that Will Smith got up, thought he could actually do this, get up, walk onto a stage, smack a man,
the
walk back,
entitlement
and
is
think
off the charts.
So then if they can't handle small little jokes where they know that this is what it's about. Now, this isn't a Comedy Central roast thing. I think you're taking it a little extreme.
I think it's become that.
I
mean,
don't
not
think
to that extreme, but I
don't think you can say that if you haven't seen it in 5 years.
Oh, I've seen enough of it.
Okay. All right.
It's not a celebration of film. It is not. I mean,
think everybody still gets their awards.
It is everybody, but they don't even show half of the awards for one thing. It's just the major ones.
They never did.
You're right. They never did.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's only that ground floor where the celebrities are. Up in the balconies, up in the cheap seats are just fans. And
I don't know about that. I think it's everybody in the Academy.
No, not at all.
Are you sure about that?
Sure. Yeah. Like if you and I wanted to go to the Oscars and we wanted to buy a ticket up in the cheap seats, we could do that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was a members only private group.
No. Nope. I mean, granted, there's press up there as well, but like if we all of a sudden became kind of a podcast phenom talking about films, we could be invited. I mean,
I thought we would be invited in the media section. We wouldn't be invited to just sit there and hang out and watch. But wait. I'm sorry. Hang on. Because I'm trying to understand this. You're saying, and that's a good point. Like if we become big in our podcast, then I can, yes, that makes sense to me. But if we're just Joe and Jane that work at, I don't know, like Starbucks, we can go to the Oscars.
If you want to pay for your ticket. Yeah.
Are you sure about that? Because I just don't think that's, unless that rules have changed. I'm not sure.
Those 10,000 people in that arena are not all Academy members.
That's not people that work the grip. That's not the stunt coordinators. That's not stunt people. That's not the agents. That's not the.
I mean, those people are there because they buy tickets. But there's people that are invited, and then there's people that just, if you're lucky enough, you get in.
Sorry, I am paying attention to you. I'm just typing this.
No, that's good. I do want to respond to Cousin Clay on here, who thinks the whole thing is a setup to create Oscar buzz. I think we're past that. I
don't think that's
I don't. I think other things in the past we could say that about, but for this particular incident, I don't think so. So my reaction initially.
Okay. Oh yes, for Will. Yes.
For Will was nope. He was right to stand up for his woman, and
really?
That was my initial reaction. I put it in the same category. Like if I'm out at a bar and someone insults my wife on her physical appearance, then yeah, I would want to have that reaction. I would be like, let's go outside and handle this.
That's how you did it. That's not how you look at it now, right? Is that what you're saying?
That was my initial reaction. Yes.
Okay.
And that's what my original post was about as well, was, no,
Okay.
this is like, this wouldn't be a thing. And as more stuff started to come out, and I had some people challenge me on that a little bit of like, okay, but that's not the situation. This isn't like where you're at.
I would have challenged you on that too.
You're not at a Wisconsin dive bar,
right?
And someone insults your wife and you want to take it outside. That's not what it is.
Correct.
This would be like if you're at a comedy show and someone says something about your wife, are you going to hop up on stage and smack the dude? Exactly. And I'm like,
are you?
I don't think so.
No, so I don't think you are either.
And it was after that kind of introspection, things like that. At the very least, like, I think Will should have had a confrontation with Chris Rock. If you're that insulted, you'd be like, we're going to talk later. Like,
yes. Yeah.
Even if he did walk up on stage and be like, we're going to talk later. Yeah. Like, that's
cool, bro. Thing. We're going to talk later. Yeah.
If take away the slap and go up and say, yell at him, we'll do whatever.
Right.
That uncalled for given the setting, but still would have gotten his message across. It's that physical piece that he jumped to that I was like, yeah, you know what? Maybe in retrospect, having to think about it, I don't know. I don't think I would have done that. In trying to put myself in the shoes. And the people that are like, Jade has been very vocal about her hair loss, all that other stuff. I did read one tweet from a person who's like, hey, bald white men, this is not your time to jump into the conversation. And I was like, correct. Yes. Yeah. I have no idea what that's like.
Right.
People are like, well, you
are losing your hair. You did lose your hair.
And that's where people try to be like, you've got a dog in this fight. I'm like, I really don't. Men going bald is totally different than women going bald.
It is totally different.
I'm not even going to try to compare. I don't.
Okay. See, because that's funny. Because I was comparing the joke, hey, G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. Like, that's all he said. That's all he said.
Yeah.
And I feel like that would be like if he were to say to you, or if I were to say to you, hey, Greg, can't wait for God of War. You look great.
Yeah.
Right.
That it is a totally different ballpark. Like, I do not put myself in her shoes at all.
No, I wouldn't want to. I'm very not pro Jada. I don't care if she has a problem with her hair. I don't care. Like, I'm very not pro Jada. What are people saying?
Cousin Clay said I would have swept the leg, which is pretty damn funny.
Swept the leg. Cobra Kai.
and Brian, hey Brian, welcome to the show. Says I would have roundhouse kick a fool in the bar instead for insulting his wife. That maybe I would have, he won't see it.
Bar, that's completely different.
It is a totally different kind of situation, different. Which initially I'm like, well, it's not that situation, but here's where it could have been. And that's what people were calling me out on. They're like, dude, are you thinking that like, that's the same? And I was like, you know what? I did for a minute. I did. And thank you for kind of bringing that to my attention.
It's kind of fun. I knew you kind of went towards Will, good for Will. I knew you were going that way because you are like that. You're very much defend your woman. Like, this is my moment to kick your ass almost. Because I've seen some some stuff happen and I'm going, and I've just nothing bad at what you've done. But I remember thinking in certain situations, like, I don't know if that calls for that, but that's you.
It's old fashioned. And I am aware of that. I mean, it's how I was raised.
Bad.
I mean, going back,
could get you in generations
trouble, it could get me in trouble. You're absolutely right. But that idea of, there's
chivalrous, right?
Yeah. There's a couple, again, a conversation once that I had with my grandfather, and he probably doesn't remember, but he's like, if you got a reason to fight, it's probably over your wife. Like, okay. And then I watched him punch a horse. Anyway, different story.
My grandfather punched a horse too.
Oh, we can talk about that.
I was there for that. Yeah. I was like, whoa, you just did Conan.
And the same thing. I mean, my dad's a former Marine.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard stories of people insulting my mom, and dad's like, well, okay, here we go. And would have to jump to it. And And I guess that's just where I got that pattern of behavior from. And I'm not exactly sure that that's wrong. I mean,
I don't think it's wrong. I just think it's in the wrong time.
I think that's true. And I think it's not applicable to this situation is what I came to.
Right. Yes, it's not. It's not. Yeah, it's not. But
because as much as I'm
just curious,
my dad,
anybody that's listening right now, how many people, if you could get away with it, would, if somebody insulted your wife, I don't care what the event was, I don't, it's game night and it's the four of you at the house. If someone insults your wife, do you want to go blows with that person? Like, how many of you would want to do that? Like, I'm thinking
yes,
you would have to. I'm trying to think of a situation where I would go to blows. Like, you would have to be physically trying to intimidate my wife for me to go blows. Like, if I see, okay, this is about to get physical, then I can see myself stepping in. Yeah. But if it's like hey, you're fat, I'd be like, okay, can you go sit over there? Like, who the fuck are you? Like, get out of here. But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you do. And we're getting some responses, and that's great, guys. Keep them coming. So Brian would say I would demand an apology.
Okay. Demanding an apology is good.
And Cousin Clay says, I feel after the public talk about the affair, she should have gotten up there and defended herself. That's a yeah. I mean, she's very much I'm going to bring stuff up in public. Jada could have got up and said something. To answer your question,
has Jada said anything?
She's been silent.
Bro. Of course she has. I let my man do the talking.
Yeah, no. To answer your question, yeah, I remember, and this did not come up in my thoughts on this, but we were at a friend's house for a game night. It was us and two other couples, and one guy definitely called in to question my wife's integrity, and I was like, and she was pissed. I talked to the guy later of like, dude, that was uncalled for. And he's like,
that's fine. That's fine. And like, what I'm saying is you took care of the situation.
But as much as I wanted to beat the piss out of him at the time, I was more worried because they had the guy that made the insult had a budding relationship with our mutual friends. And we were really good friends with them. Mm-hmm. And it was at their house. So I know that if there would have been a physical altercation at their house, it would have very much damaged my existing relationship with who I considered to be my best friend at the time.
Okay.
And it was sexual in nature.
Oh,
really pissed me off and Krista. And it was something that it was like, why would you even say that? Like, why?
Yeah.
Like, what you're insinuating right now? What the fuck is wrong with you? And then I remember thinking, like, this guy, the guy that made the insult, he was a person who was very much attempting personal growth at that point. And it was like, oh, like, so I called him out on it later, not publicly, because this guy did not handle public things well at all. Like, it would have gotten ugly. And yeah, I just remember that feeling of like, oh, and it ruined the night. Like, we still went on to play a couple games that just did not hit. Like, it just
didn't feel good the rest of the night.
There wasn't any
vibe was gone.
After.
Yeah, the vibe was gone. Yeah.
It was just like, okay.
Yeah.
And then when I said, you should apologize, he apologized to me. He never apologized to Krista again.
Really?
And nope. And then, like, a little bit later, I had to do an event with this guy where it was like a road trip type event. And he was making some jokes and things like that. And I was just mercilessly like, he'd be like, come on, that was funny. I'm like, you say something funny and I'll laugh. I mean, just, not having it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. We got some Micah. Hey, Micah, welcome to the show. 100% yes. Stand up for your woman. Married or just dating? Blows it is. Okay. That's
what?
Micah says, yeah, you got to throw down. I mean, that's
regardless.
Well, we can ask, regardless of the situation, Mike, are you throwing down like no matter what?
No matter what?
And Jada said, "You better take care of this." Is that what she was reported as saying at the
Jada
Oscars?
Pinkett's listening to us right now?
No.
Fuck
No.
you, Jada. No, okay. No,
and I have that same opinion. I had that opinion before the Oscars.
Yeah, there's been a lot of
the report is that like at the moment she like because Will initially laughed at the joke.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Which sure, I think he would. And then she was upset, and then she looked at him and said, "You better take care of this." And that's when he got up.
You know what? She probably was saying that to Will when Chris Rock goes, "Come on, that was easy."
Yeah.
Or "Come on, that was nice." That's what he said. So he was probably seeing exactly how she was reacting to it. The first time I saw her, it looked like she was almost like, "Oh God, here we go again."
Yeah.
But
and again, Cousin Clay brings up the setting where if Chris Rock just made fun of somebody on stage, you got to be like, it's Chris Rock. He's on stage.
Yeah.
Now, if Guy insulted her somewhere else, that's where you got to throw your weight around. And I kind of agree.
I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah.
I'm just opposed to because here's the thing. Yes, congratulations, Will. You won the Oscar. No one is ever going to remember that. Yeah. No one's ever going to remember that moment. Your crowning achievement as an actor. Mm-hmm. No one's going to remember it for that. Not only that, but the director that got you there, the editor that put your best cut on film, the family that it's actually about, the guy he was actually trying to be, that's his Oscar too. That's everybody's Oscar. And it's like Joe Rogan said, he just walked up on a huge dinner table and took a shit and made everybody look at it.
Yep.
And
I think given time, people are always going to remember this. Yes.
Of
but
course,
I think given time, people are still going to know like the King Richard movie is a good movie.
Yeah.
It's a good movie. It's about
Will's going to remember this too.
Yeah.
Every time he looks at that Oscar, he's going to remember that night.
Mm-hmm.
He just is. There's certain things that just don't take the smell away.
I've heard projects that he had in like that were rolling. Pulled. Well, not really pulled, but they're like, hey, let's take a beat and see.
Yeah.
One, if we really want to do this, and two, if we really want to do this with you.
Yeah. I think obviously Will Smith had a lot going on for a long time. I think this is years. There's a lot of onions to this.
Yeah, there's
a lot of layers. I should
definitely
say.
I mean,
yes.
In his so I always forget his name. I want to say Ocho, but I know that's not his name. The guy who does Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man.
Emmanuel Acho. Emmanuel Acho. Yeah.
I always want to say it. I know it's wrong. But Emmanuel Acho, he actually took some sound bites from Will, the audio version of Will's book, available on audible.com. If you want a free trial, you can get audibletrial.com/JATG. That he took like a clip of Will, who reads the book, talking about his past and his where he knows he's got some issues.
Yeah.
And Ocho's like, you want to know why Will got up and reacted that way? Plays the clip and goes, here we are in America. This is untreated mental illness for men that needs to be talked about. And he kind of goes into that piece for it. And I'm like, as much as this is a bad situation, if it's going to open up some eyes to maybe some other little corners of our society that we need to take a look at,
Yeah.
Lord works in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I don't condone at all what Will did. In fact, I'm shocked. I'm a little appalled. I've lost some respect for him. And not that my respect for Will Smith is going to mean anything, but I also don't condemn him for all the rest of his life. I feel there's something look, people are going to make mistakes. I make mistakes every day, it feels like, but no one's watching those mistakes.
Yeah.
One's, this isn't, he didn't murder him. He didn't.
Right. What it's got, there's a couple reactions. One, it definitely brought light to the alopecia movement, which good. I mean, hopefully there is some things there, but overall, if we're trying to cure, male or female pattern baldness, let's get rid of cancer first.
If someone's smart, if somebody's smart, if some advertiser's smart, they're gonna get Chris Rock to push like a
alopecia pill.
Yes.
Yeah, the Propecia.
Yes.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Or just any type of shampoo that puts in more hair or whatever.
Something. So I mean, sure, you brought light to a vanity medical issue. Got it. There's going to be some talk about mental health in America. Good.
Yeah.
People are talking about Black women are not stood up for by their men enough. I can't really speak to that. I'm not in that culture very much, but if it is an issue, great. Bring it up. Talk about it. And I think, a little bit to that old fashioned, have we gone too far in not standing up for people or not defending, our women, I guess is what it would come down to. But, do they need defending anymore? How do we do that? And, I think, Brian said it right in the chat here. Measured response in the appropriate setting. That's really
perfect.
That's
the best way to say it.
Yeah. If we remember, John, where we were out in college, and
that's what I was talking about earlier.
And there was a situation where a mutual friend of ours decided to grab my then fiance's ass, the woman who became my wife.
Yep.
And she turned around and was like, no, like got up in his face. I think that embarrassment enough for him just broke him down.
Right.
When she told me about it, I found him in the back corner of the bar thinking like, I'm going to hit him. Like that was.
See, and that's what I was talking about. I was like, wow, that's a little too harsh. He already got embarrassed.
Right. And I didn't hit him. No,
I know you did. I know.
I went up to him and I could tell he already was white.
Yeah.
And I just had to be like, hey, buddy, we don't play that game. Like there are couples out here where if one husband is grabbing another man's wife's ass because they're friends, they laugh it off.
Mm-hmm.
That's not my relationship with my wife.
I remember one time.
Don't do that.
I remember one time we were at a party and one of Ursula's friends from work became an actual friend. And he got a little tipsy and we were at my neighbor's house, which is Hispanic heritage, right? So they had this big family party. He got a little hammered on the tequila and he picked up Ursula and was carrying her like that and was smacking her butt as he was running. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go settle Bill down. Like, just settle down.
Yeah.
And two of, I'm not going to say their names, but two Hispanics grabbed my arm and was like, do you want us to go beat the shit out of him right now? I'm like, oh, no. It's okay. They know each other. It's okay. It's okay. I'm just going to go talk to him real quick. But they were like, Johnny, we'll do it because we don't want you to look bad. We'll go beat the shit out of this guy. Right. I'm like, no, don't beat the shit out of him. I remember having to talk down like 4 or 5 Hispanic guys, and they're like, we'll do it, Johnny. I'm like, no, I can see it in your eyes.
Can see you're ready to go.
Totally doing it. In fact, that's great. I appreciate you guys backing me like that. I got this. It's okay. Yeah. So I understand that there are some people out there that don't play like that. They just don't. Yeah. And it's up to you to figure out who plays and who doesn't. And
you set those
my advice is never play in the first place. You'll be all right.
If you never grab another man's wife's ass, you're okay.
Right.
No one's going to fault you for that.
Right.
Okay. So that has been talked about.
Yes.
As far as I'm concerned, we are never talking about this again.
Sure.
Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter to some, was on a talk, I think Good Morning America, and he was being interviewed for his new film with Sandra Bullock, Lost Island. Krista saw it. She said it was great.
I totally want to see it. Looks
and they asked him, what do you think about this?
Everybody's going to get asked that last week.
And he was like, honestly, there's enough drama in Hollywood right now that I don't really feel the need to add to that. So can we just talk about my movie? And I'm like,
Good
That's
for
the
you,
perfect
Daniel.
response.
Good for
That
you.
is the perfect. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not adding any more to this drama. I mean, I think the main points we talked about.
Yeah.
I think
We
it's
said our piece.
yeah, it brings up some points about men and women in society and how do we handle that. And yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. So is Micah ready to throw down no matter what happens? Like it could be like somebody beats her at chess and it's time to go.
No, I don't think he's like that. But honestly,
Just kidding, Micah. Just kidding.
Micah, I love you, buddy. He's got dreadlocks like down past his ass. I want to see that dude in a fight, just because it would just be like, Muppet the animal.
Oh, if he knew the
animal,
Brazilian
the Muppet
one,
just going nuts. Yeah,
if he knew the Brazilian where they go like this,
I could see him doing that.
they do that dance thing.
Honestly, I could see
Yeah.
him doing that. Micah, I could teach you some of that. We can trade drum lessons.
What do they call
for
that? What do they call that?
capoeira?
Yeah, that's right.
Capoeira.
That's right.
I know the absolute basics of like the Jenga and then moving that into a wheel kick, and then I'm done.
Yeah.
So,
can you do that now? Or are you going to hurt yourself?
I'd want to stretch out before I take an attempt at that.
You ever wonder why?
Warm up a little bit.
You ever wonder why cheetahs never need to stretch out before they go hit a gazelle?
I don't know why. Is that a
No,
joke?
I
Are you
don't know.
setting-
I
are you
just think
setting me
that's
up.
no. That's just always something that's interesting. That I think we're the only species where the older we get, the
We got to
more we
limber
need to
up.
warm
I know,
up.
It is.
But like
Oh.
a leopard can be like sleeping and then boom, just pounce and that's it. No
Yeah.
warming up, no nothing.
My one of my biggest fears is that I'll be at a party or just a gathering and someone will be like, "Oh, you did martial arts for a long time? Show me something." I'd be
Throw
like,
a punch.
Yeah, a punch. You know what? A punch I could do and not hurt myself.
You sure?
But yeah.
Well, I mean,
No,
you're gonna,
you could. Yeah,
you
I
could
think
yank a little
think
guy
I'm-
down there.
it might not be too bad. But if someone wanted me to show a kick,
Your shoe could stick to the rug the wrong way as you're
Oh,
pivoting. You
or
don't
my
know.
hammies are just stuck together that
Yeah.
much that they're not good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll kick at my waist level and it's gonna be like, no.
Do you know
So-
what's really terrifying? I'm sure you might have felt it. Is if you ever have to, in a moment's notice, sprint as hard as you can.
Oh God, I can't. can't.
Yeah, it's terrifying. As you get our age,
Mhm.
it gets terrifying because you're like, wow, there's going to be a ping, and that's my hamstring gone.
Oh, I was okay. Let's talk about that story. real quick. This has been gosh.
What age? What age are you?
Well, I'm talking. Let's see. She's in probably about 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
My youngest daughter is in second grade, and we're
Okay.
at her elementary school, and I think it was like parent teacher conferences or something like that. We're leaving the building, and she, it's the whole walk fast, walk a little faster, walk a little faster with your kid.
Yeah.
Until you're like, okay, we're gonna race to the car.
Oh, okay.
And so we're running, and
Yeah.
it's safe. It's not like a busy
Right,
parking
yeah,
lot,
yeah.
I run maybe a total of 5 steps,
Ping.
and I feel my knee not doing something good.
Like almost buckling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And like right on the front, and all of a sudden, next thing I know, I'm running like this.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah.
That's not how people run.
Right.
And I could just feel myself getting older in that moment with each.
Yeah.
step. Just like age. I'm like,
Yeah.
I maybe shouldn't run anymore. And then I talked to my doctor one time about it, and I'm like, well, I was thinking about like taking up running. He goes, why? I'm like, because aren't you supposed to run? Like that's healthy, right? Running. He's like, have you ever run before? Like, were you a fitness runner? I'm like, no. He's like, no, take up swimming.
You know why the doctors say that to a lot of people?
Yeah, because I'm a big guy and my knees suck.
It's not because of that. It's because we've had decades of our shoes are wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
our form of running is completely off.
Yeah.
Like-
yeah, I was shopping for shoes recently, and all of a sudden these YouTube ads start coming up about some guy who's like, don't wear shoes.
Yeah.
Like,
He's actually right.
yeah, I know.
But it's almost too late now to do that now.
Yeah.
It's too late.
Mhm.
But the reason why people probably shouldn't run is because you have on these like they say the way your body is naturally supposed to run, where there's no
Mhm.
pounding on the knees or the lower back, is to run barefoot, because you will not go down with your heel. You won't do it, because if you do, you're going to get a huge shock up your body and you'll never do it again. But yeah,
So all in good fun. A couple things we want to talk about. We got 2 more topics left, kind of, maybe 3.
are you shitting? It's already 10.
I know, but we said we're going to talk about it. If we wait too long, it's not gonna matter.
Oh, okay.
One of them is we wanted to take a moment just to recognize the career of Bruce Willis.
Yeah, yeah. It's so sad.
Yeah,
So
tragic
sad.
news. He's got a condition. I mean, he's in his late 70s, so it's not like it's that he's still a super young man that he can't
Right.
have these
He's also been selling out.
Well, but that is, I think, part of it. I mean, I remember when last time we had Danny on, and she was like, his people, like Bruce Willis's people, are carting him from low budget project to low budget project, feeding him his lines almost a line at a time because he can't remember anything. And the way she
Is
made
it he
sound,
can't remember, or is he can't say it anymore?
I think is he can't remember his lines.
Okay,
like he can't remember dialogue anymore, and
So
it's
he's having
just
a problem with that. Okay,
it's just hard.
yeah,
And now it comes out that he's got this condition where his memory's going, and it's like,
damn.
ugh.
Yeah.
And you feel bad. He's done a lot of great stuff.
Of course,
I think
he Die
brings
Hard
up-
Die Hard set a stage for
Sure, the 80s action film, absolutely.
What-
The everyman action film.
Thank you. That's what I was going to say. Yes, thank you.
I think this speaks to a point of we don't like it when our celebrities retire. Like, we either want them to fade away and then announce some kind of major health issue, but we don't like it if they just disappear. Like, when was
I
the
don't
last
remember
time
a lot retiring.
No, they don't. I mean, it's either they
Yeah.
work until they die or they poof, gone. Like, when was the last time you heard of a Jack Nicholson movie?
Right. That's a good
Now,
point.
He's not dead
No, he's not.
and he's retired. He just went, I'm stepping away from acting. But I think you're going to hear more of that kind of thing.
I think you are.
I
think you are.
Darren Hafford said Pulp Fiction. Are you seeing that as a Jack Nicholson? Oh, no, you're talking about Bruce Willis. Okay, got it.
Yes. Yes.
But that idea of letting our celebrities retire with dignity. Like, here we've got Bruce Willis going from low budget project to low budget project just to keep making money. I can't imagine he needed it anymore.
I don't. I think it's his people that wanted it.
I think it's his people that want it.
Yeah.
But true, like, let celebrities retire. Jim Carrey just announced, he didn't really announce retirement. He says, I'm going to step away from acting, meaning he's probably still going to do other stuff. I'm sure he's got side hustles that are not acting.
Yeah.
And,
or he's only going to pick projects he wants to do versus.
George Clooney went and worked for not NATO. Gosh, the United Nations. He went and worked for the United Nations for a while, being like an ambassador, a goodwill ambassador. And it's
I
like,
didn't know that.
Yeah. That's why he wasn't making movies for a long time. And then he's like, well, I suppose if a project comes up, I'll make one. But
yeah.
Well,
I've been noticing something with Brad Pitt. I don't think he's starring in things. He's kind of just doing these little cameos.
I just saw a preview for a film that he stars in today.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
He's got a new movie called Bullet Train come out, which looks like a ton of.
That looks awesome. That looks so fun. Yes.
But I think that's just it. He's like, I'm going to pick a fun movie. He doesn't have to go through like the hustle anymore.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So
I wonder how many of those well, I guess you go through this. I got to get that one moment that gives me my
masterpiece.
Break. Yeah. No. You get the break first. Then you try to get the masterpiece to say, hey, I'm actually a good actor. And then I think you just start doing a bunch of fun shit.
Well, that's
Natalie Portman, right?
I was gonna say Matthew McConaughey. His story was like he was rom-com guy until he went to his people and said no more rom-coms.
Yeah.
And then he went, I think 20 months. This was in his book Green Lights. He went 20 months without a project to the point where they were like, read this script. It's a rom-com. And he's like, nope, read the script. And they kept coming back and they kept offering him more and more money until finally he was like, they didn't change a word in the script. But once we got to like, I think it was like 24 million, he's like, that's pretty good money.
Yeah.
Like,
I
maybe
gotta do that.
Yeah. Got to do that. And he still said no.
Yeah.
And they're like, did that movie ever get made? He goes, no, it never got made. They didn't find another lead for it. But then he did start to find projects that he was excited about and would pay him money.
Yeah.
And now, McConaughey's doing okay.
He is. Yeah.
So I do want to bring up some of the things that happened in the world that you may have missed because the news cycle was just full of the slap. I mean, really, that was kind of the news week and everywhere you turned. So one thing I thought was interesting, was this. Have you heard of Representative Madison Cawthorn from North Carolina?
I haven't until you sent me the article.
Okay, so this dude is he's representative from North Carolina. He is part of the Republican Party. Just giving you that for background, not really saying one thing or another about his affiliation. But he went on a podcast, talked about the sexual perversion that goes on in Washington. And he says, I mean, and this is a quote from his, the sexual perversion that goes on in Washington. I mean, being kind of a young guy in Washington where the average age is probably 60 or 70, he said, I look at all these people, a lot of them I've looked up through my entire life. I've always paid attention to politics. Then all of a sudden you get invited to, well, hey, we're going to have like this sexual get together at one of our homes. You should come. And he's like, what did you just ask me to come to? And then you realize they're asking you to come to an orgy. And he's talking about in Washington. Now, I haven't met a single person that doesn't think that this stuff is going on in Washington, but I've never seen an actual seated politician say, I got invited to orgies when I got into politics. He's like, or the fact that some of these people are the leading of are people leading on the movement and try to remove addiction in our country.
And then they're
snorting
a line.
And then you watch them do a bump of cocaine right in front of you.
Or what they say in Peaky Blinders, playing with snow.
Yeah. I mean, so he is outing.
He's outing some people.
Now, I don't believe he's being invited to Democrat parties. So, I mean, you got to figure it's the Republican Party that's inviting him over to their house. Be like, hey, do you want to come to an orgy and do some cocaine?
Yeah. You're right. I'm sure that's happened for decades.
Yeah.
I
totally believe that. The
only thing that's discussed,
absolutely amazing that this guy is actually admitting to this going on.
I don't know if you can really take. I mean, if you read further into that article, he's done some horrible things as well. He said some horrible things. He's got his foot in trouble. So I don't know if you can actually take his word. It's not like I don't believe him, but I'm almost not believing that. Like, this is politics in America. This is Washington. This is what it is. And if anybody doesn't think this is what it is, what do you think the Bilderberg group was about, where they pray to an owl? Like all this weird shit. You don't think what was that movie with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman and Stanley Kubrick?
Eyes Wide Shut.
Yes, that shit happened. These are people that are just bored. They're elite and they're bored. And I remember that I heard somebody about, like, when they get to a certain point, nothing excites them anymore and they have to like keep elevating to get
the escalation piece.
Yeah, the escalation, because they just it's money doesn't bring them happiness, regular sex doesn't bring them happiness. So let's bring somebody else in. And to me, from what I understand, it's not necessarily even the sex portion. It's the I'm dominating you portion.
Oh, there's the power trip.
Yeah.
And the fact that this guy's coming out and saying it though, and his own party's like, hey buddy, you're going to get yourself in trouble. Calm down. And I find it interesting. Like he knows stuff. Like,
I'm sure he does.
If he's not enough, unfortunately he'll be suicided by somebody before he can drop hands. Right.
Or he'll be just torn down and we'll find him in a gutter in 4 years.
Yeah. Like they're going to make him, it'll be like, what was that movie? Nightmare
Trading
Alley.
Places?
No.
Nightmare Alley. Yes.
He'll be so broken down that he'll be the geek in a show. Yeah. So the other thing that came out, and again, I'm not trying to bash on any one party, but this is just what happened this week. Judge David O'Carter at the Central District of California stated in his findings on Tuesday that former President Donald Trump more than likely committed federal crimes in his efforts to obstruct the certification in 2020 elections. So there could be charges coming his way.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? You don't think they'll go that far?
No, even if they go that far, they're not going to go that far. He has enough powerful people that cover his ass. Even if he did do what first off, he's not the first. He won't be the last. This is what our shit does. He was just following doing what they do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think shit's gonna happen with this guy. In fact, he's probably gonna run again. In what is it, 2024?
Yeah, I mean that would be the next.
He's probably gonna
cycle,
rerun again.
I would be shocked if he runs. Well, not
Really?
that if he runs again.
Oh,
I think he'll be shocked if he'll get the party nomination. He may run as independent.
Yeah.
And he'll get votes.
Yeah. I think when you get that powerful, there is nothing else that comes to that high. And I think he's going to go for it again.
He absolutely will.
Yeah. Yeah. And,
and then I saw, along with politicians that just won't go away. I just heard recently that in Wisconsin, our governor from back in the day, do you remember Tommy Thompson? He was governor.
I do.
Yeah. He wants to run again. That dude is in like his mid 80s.
Wow.
And he's like, I might take another run at Wisconsin governor. I'm like, dude, fucking retire. Like that.
Wow.
Like the career politician.
You've had good governors, right?
Depends on who you ask.
Every one of our governors, like,
oh, you mean like you're that's
Jesus
true.
Christ.
Your run of we don't compare to your run of governors.
They're like
holy shit.
They are really corrupt people.
That is the mob running politics down there for sure.
For sure.
Probably
we started with Capone and hasn't ended.
Yep. That is definitely better than no one's trying to sell their political seats after they take a position in Wisconsin.
My God.
Or if they are, they're just better at hiding it. I don't know. But again, the idea of a career politician would drive our forefathers nuts on both sides of the aisle. All would have been like, wait, do this the rest of your life? No, that's not what we had in mind.
Yeah, that's not what they wanted. No.
Nope. It's a term of service and then go home and run your farm.
Yeah. Somewhere along the line, politicians were going, I don't want to go back home. I'm getting my ass kissed here. I pretty much have nothing to do all day.
I heard recently one of our friends, his son is super smart and wants to go into politics. Like might be he wants to go to law school and then go into politics. I'm like, no, go to law school with the idea of being a lawyer, and then if you end up in politics for a short time, do that. Don't go into.
Here's the thing. I think everybody that wants to go into politics, they truly go in there. I feel. Yep. I personally believe they truly go in there with the best intentions to turn this world around. People. Yeah, I can help people.
Yep.
And then as they get into it, they realize, oh my God, I can't get nothing done unless I scratch this guy's back.
No.
And then I owe him. And the next thing you know,
balls.
Yeah. And the next thing you know, you're doing the exact same thing you said you wouldn't do. Yeah.
I laugh because when House of Cards was on, everyone's like, oh, this is American politics. That show was based off of a British show. So it is British and American politics.
It's politics in general.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. There's nowhere that I don't think anybody runs it clean.
Yeah.
I don't think they ran it clean when they begun it. They had a great idea, but even then, I don't think it worked.
As we're closing up here, we got 7 people at least watching us right now. I know that some people are like only snapping. But give us a shout out, like say who you are so I can at least see you on here. And we just want to thank you for hanging out with us.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cause we're running late today.
Yeah.
Yeah. 10:30.
Maybe we should always run late.
Maybe we should run at 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
10 when people are about to go to bed. They're laying in their, they're laying on.
Watching your phone as you're
watching your phone.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, listening to the smooth sounds of Johnny and the Greg.
More Greg than the Johnny. Johnny's like,
what? Gotta put more bass in your voice. Be like, hey, how's everybody doing?
What? You're wrong, Greg. Yeah.
Like, subscribe, share us out to your people.
Yeah. So, Greg, sign us off.
You know what? I used to do a longer sign off, but I think everything boils down to the third thing that we say every week. I'm going to put it on a t-shirt someday. Johnny and the Greg say, don't be a douche.
Bingo. So for the Greg, this is Johnny saying I will also put this on a t-shirt. Podcast out, everybody. Take care. Have a good one. Goodbye.